10 signs to identify a toxic person in your life. Wisdom for living. Stoicism. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. B1. Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever felt a strange, heavy cloud hanging over your interactions? A sense that someone in your life is subtly poisoning your peace, like a shadow that looms over your every thought? In today's video on Stoic in your life, we're diving deep into the 10 unmistakable signs to help you identify these toxic individuals who may be lurking in your circle, silently eroding your happiness and self-worth. And trust me, the final sign might just change the way you see everything. But that's not all. Stick around till the end, where I'll share actionable Stoic strategies to not only protect yourself, but also reclaim your inner tranquility and resilience. Imagine breaking free from their toxic grip and stepping into a space of clarity and strength. Before we dive into this essential wisdom, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a chance to strengthen your Stoic journey. Are you ready to take control and guard your peace of mind? Let's start by uncovering the first sign, the energy thief. Have you ever noticed someone in your life who always seems to leave you feeling drained, as if they've tapped into your energy like a silent siphon? These individuals are emotional leeches, subtly feeding off your joy and calmness. But today, you'll learn the Stoic way to identify them and cut off their power, ensuring you stand unshaken in your personal power. Number 1. Manipulators are skilled at subtle deceit. The greatest deception men suffer is from their own opinions. Leonardo da Vinci. Today, we dive into the subtle world of manipulation, exploring one of the most insidious traits a toxic person can possess. We'll explore how manipulators craft their deceptions with precision, often hiding in plain sight, weaving a web that can trap even the most cautious among us. If you've ever felt your energy drained, your decisions questioned, or your reality subtly distorted, stay with us. Because today we're not just identifying manipulators, we're learning how to break free from their grasp. Manipulators are skilled at subtle deceit. Have you ever felt like something was off in a conversation? Like a hidden undercurrent you couldn't quite put your finger on? This is often the handiwork of a manipulator, a person who excels at subtle deceit. Manipulators are masters at reading people, sensing their vulnerabilities and then using that knowledge to their advantage. They are not always obvious. In fact, their skill lies in their subtlety. Like a seasoned poker player, they play their cards close to their chest, giving just enough away to keep you guessing while concealing their true intentions. You might think they have your best interests at heart, but beneath their words lies a carefully calculated strategy designed to control, influence, and ultimately, bend your will to theirs. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius advised, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Yet, how can you not become like your enemy if you cannot first identify them? Manipulators thrive on ambiguity and use half-truths and omissions as tools of their trade. They may twist facts or slightly alter events to suit their narrative, leaving you questioning your own memory and judgment. Have you ever found yourself doubting a recollection because someone insisted it happened differently? This tactic, known as gaslighting, is a favorite of the manipulator. By constantly keeping you on your toes, they ensure that you are always second-guessing yourself, unsure of what is real and what is a figment of their carefully crafted reality. This uncertainty makes you easier to control as you become more reliant on their version of events and their judgment. In a modern context, think about how a manipulative coworker might twist a story about a project mishap, subtly shifting blame to you without ever directly accusing you. They might say, "I thought we agreed you would handle that," leaving you confused and on the defensive. Or perhaps in a relationship, where a partner might say, "I never said that," when you distinctly remember them saying exactly that. This form of manipulation not only destabilizes you but also erodes your confidence over time. Manipulators are also adept at playing the victim. They know how to twist a narrative to make themselves appear vulnerable or wronged, compelling you to feel sympathy or guilt. This manipulation is often subtle, expressed through phrases like, "I'm just trying to help," or "I'm only doing this because I care about you." On the surface, these words seem supportive, even loving, but they are laced with a hidden agenda, an attempt to keep you ensnared in their web of control. By making you feel indebted or guilty, they gain leverage over you, making it difficult for you to see them as the source of toxicity in your life. Think about a scenario where a friend constantly borrows money, and when you hesitate, they say, "I thought you cared about our friendship." Such a statement can make you feel guilty and push you into actions that you are uncomfortable with. This is a classic manipulative tactic, using your values and emotions against you to achieve their goals. Moreover, manipulators often wear a mask of benevolence, presenting themselves as wise, caring, or even self-sacrificing. They use this facade to build trust and make you lower your guard. They might offer unsolicited advice, not out of a desire to help, but as a means to subtly exert control over your decisions. Over time, this can lead to a slow erosion of your autonomy. You might find yourself increasingly dependent on their guidance, fearing that without their input, you might make a mistake or fail in some way. This dependency is exactly what they want, as it gives them more power over you. Think of a mentor or advisor who, rather than empowering you to think independently, always seems to have the final say in your choices, often steering you in directions that serve their interests more than your own. Manipulation, in all its forms, is about control. The manipulator wants to control your emotions, your thoughts, and ultimately, your actions. They use deceit not as an occasional tactic but as a constant strategy. Their subtlety is their strength, allowing them to operate under the radar, often without detection. As you learn to recognize these signs, remember the words of Seneca, "He who has great power should use it lightly." The manipulator, however, wields their power heavily and often. Recognizing their tactics is the first step in breaking free from their influence. So, how can you protect yourself from manipulators? First, cultivate self-awareness. Understand your values, needs, and boundaries and hold them firm. When you know who you are and what you stand for, it becomes much harder for someone else to twist your reality. Second, practice discernment. Not every kind word is spoken out of kindness, and not every harsh word is meant to harm. Evaluate actions more than words. Third, seek clarity. If someone's behavior confuses you, ask direct questions and seek straightforward answers. Manipulators thrive on ambiguity. Clarity is their enemy. And finally, trust your intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. Your gut feeling is often a powerful indicator that someone is not what they seem. Identifying manipulators in your life is not just about recognizing their deceit. It's about reclaiming your power, your autonomy, and your peace of mind. As you navigate your relationships, both personal and professional, keep your eyes open for these subtle signs of manipulation. Empower yourself with knowledge, stay anchored in your values, and remember, your life is yours to lead, not theirs to control. Number 2, the relentless critic always finding flaws. The relentless critic always finding flaws. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have a knack for pointing out every tiny flaw in everything you do? This person is known as the relentless critic, someone who never misses an opportunity to find fault, no matter how small or insignificant. They thrive on criticism, often masking it under the guise of constructive feedback or just trying to help. But let's be honest, their intentions aren't always as pure as they claim. Their constant nitpicking, whether it's about your work, your choices, or even your appearance, is less about helping you improve and more about asserting their own superiority. A relentless critic isn't interested in building you up. Their primary goal is to keep you down, to make you feel less than, so they can feel more in control or more competent. You might be wondering, why does this behavior affect us so deeply? It's because over time, constant criticism can erode even the strongest self-esteem, leaving you questioning your abilities and second-guessing your decisions. Think about a time in your life when you've dealt with such a person. Maybe it was a boss who never had a good word to say about your work, always pointing out the negatives and never acknowledging the positives. Or perhaps it was a friend or family member who always seemed to have a comment on what you were doing wrong, never recognizing what you were doing right. These people are like a constant drip of negativity, slowly wearing you down, making you doubt yourself and your worth. In the workplace, for example, the relentless critic might constantly find fault with your projects, even when you've gone above and beyond. They might say things like, "I would have done it this way," or, "Did you really think this was a good idea?" These comments, often framed as advice, are intended to make you feel inadequate. Have you ever felt a sense of dread when you see an email from a certain colleague or a family gathering where you know a particular relative will be there? That's the power of the relentless critic. They make you feel small, insignificant, and constantly on edge. Why do they behave this way? Often, relentless critics are projecting their insecurities onto others. They criticize not because they believe what they're saying, but because they are battling their own feelings of inadequacy. By putting others down, they feel a fleeting sense of superiority, a temporary escape from their own self-doubt. But how does one navigate such toxic behavior? One way is by recognizing their behavior for what it is, a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a true reflection of your worth or abilities. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom is particularly relevant here. When faced with relentless criticism, rather than internalizing it, use it as an opportunity to practice self-awareness and resilience. Ask yourself, is this criticism constructive, or is it just another attempt to undermine me? Is there any truth to it, or is it simply an expression of someone else's dissatisfaction with themselves? Consider the story of Thomas Edison, who faced relentless criticism throughout his life, especially when working on the invention of the electric light bulb. Many people told him he would never succeed, that his ideas were impractical, even laughable. But instead of letting this criticism defeat him, Edison used it as fuel to keep going. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the mindset we need to cultivate when dealing with the relentless critic. View their words not as a reflection of your potential, but as an opportunity to refine your resolve and perseverance. Now, how does this apply to your daily life? Suppose you have a coworker who always finds something wrong with your presentations, or a partner who constantly comments on your choices in a way that makes you feel judged. Instead of letting their words dictate your self-worth, remind yourself of your strengths and achievements. Keep a mental or even a written list of your successes, big and small, and revisit this list whenever you feel the weight of their criticism. This practice helps reinforce your self-esteem and reminds you that you are more than the sum of someone else's negative opinions. You have your own path, your own journey, and your own measures of success. When dealing with a relentless critic, it's also crucial to set boundaries. Let them know, in a calm but firm manner, that while you appreciate constructive feedback, you do not welcome unnecessary negativity. This might sound daunting, but remember, boundaries are essential for maintaining your mental well-being and self-respect. Ask yourself, what am I willing to accept and where do I draw the line? By setting these boundaries, you take back control over your emotional space and refuse to be a dumping ground for someone else's negativity. Remember that the relentless critic is often more about their own battles than yours. Their constant need to find flaws is a reflection of their struggles with their self-worth. By recognizing this, you can shield yourself from the impact of their negativity. Use their criticism as a reminder of your own strength and a challenge to remain steadfast in your path. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Apply this wisdom to your interactions with relentless critics, and you will find yourself more resilient, more confident, and more in control of your life. So the next time someone points out a flaw, take a deep breath, reflect on the truth of their words, and if it's just more noise from a relentless critic, let it pass like a breeze. Remember, your worth is not defined by someone else's insecurities. Number 3. The narcissist. Instead of getting caught up in their drama or feeling compelled to validate their ego, focus on maintaining your own sense of peace and self-worth. Have you ever noticed that when you stop feeding into their need for attention, the narcissist often escalates their behavior? They might try new tactics to draw you back into their orbit, playing the victim, throwing a tantrum, or even suddenly showering you with affection and attention. This is known as love bombing, a tactic used to regain control by making you feel special and needed, only to return to their self-centered ways once they feel secure again. Don't be fooled by this cycle. It's just another strategy to keep you tethered to their needs, not yours. It's important to stay firm in your boundaries and recognize that their attempts to draw you back in are just another form of manipulation. Ask yourself, is it worth staying in a relationship, be it professional or personal, where your needs are consistently disregarded? The answer will guide you on how to proceed. It may mean distancing yourself from the narcissist or even cutting ties altogether. This might feel harsh, especially if it involves someone you care about. But remember that self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. Reflecting on the wisdom of Seneca, associate with people who are likely to improve you and avoid those who drag you down. This is particularly important when dealing with narcissists, who often drain your energy and offer little in return. Dealing with a narcissist requires a balance of empathy and firmness. You must understand that their behavior is a reflection of their own internal battles and not a measure of your worth. Protect your emotional well-being by setting boundaries, maintaining your own sense of self, and not allowing their need for attention to overshadow your own needs and desires. Remember, a healthy relationship is based on mutual respect, not one-sided admiration. By recognizing the signs of narcissism and taking proactive steps to protect yourself, you reclaim your power and create space for more positive, supportive, and balanced relationships in your life. So the next time you find yourself in the presence of a narcissist, take a deep breath, remember your worth, and don't be afraid to put your needs first. After all, you deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that diminish your light. Instead of getting caught up in their drama or feeling compelled to validate their ego, focus on maintaining your own sense of peace and self-worth. Have you ever noticed that when you stop feeding into their need for attention, the narcissist often escalates their behavior? They might try new tactics to draw you back into their orbit, playing the victim, throwing a tantrum, or even suddenly showering you with affection and attention. This is known as love bombing, a tactic used to regain control by making you feel special and needed, only to return to their self-centered ways once they feel secure again. Don't be fooled by this cycle. It's just another strategy to keep you tethered to their needs, not yours. It's important to stay firm in your boundaries and recognize that their attempts to draw you back in are just another form of manipulation. Ask yourself, is it worth staying in a relationship, be it professional or personal, where your needs are consistently disregarded? The answer will guide you on how to proceed. It may mean distancing yourself from the narcissist or even cutting ties altogether. This might feel harsh, especially if it involves someone you care about. But remember that self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. Reflecting on the wisdom of Seneca, associate with people who are likely to improve you, and avoid those who drag you down. This is particularly important when dealing with narcissists, who often drain your energy and offer little in return. Dealing with a narcissist requires a balance of empathy and firmness. You must understand that their behavior is a reflection of their own internal battles and not a measure of your worth. Protect your emotional well-being by setting boundaries, maintaining your own sense of self, and not allowing their need for attention to overshadow your own needs and desires. Remember, a healthy relationship is based on mutual respect, not one-sided admiration. By recognizing the signs of narcissism and taking proactive steps to protect yourself, you reclaim your power and create space for more positive, supportive, and balanced relationships in your life. So, the next time you find yourself in the presence of a narcissist, take a deep breath, remember your worth, and don't be afraid to put your needs first. After all, you deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that diminish your light. Number 4. The silent saboteur. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. William James. If you've ever felt that someone close to you is subtly pulling you down or undermining your success, stay with us, because today we're learning how to identify and protect ourselves from the silent saboteur's hidden games. Now let's talk about the silent saboteur, one of the most insidious types of toxic people you might encounter. Unlike the overt critic or the obvious narcissist, the silent saboteur operates in the shadows, often using subtle, underhanded tactics to undermine your efforts and success. This person may appear supportive on the surface, offering a kind smile or a seemingly encouraging word. But beneath this facade lies a more sinister intention. They may express doubt in your abilities at just the right moment to make you second-guess yourself or withhold important information that could help you succeed. Have you ever wondered why you feel deflated after speaking with someone, even though they didn't say anything overtly negative? This is the hallmark of a silent saboteur. Their methods are quiet but effective, eroding your confidence and self-belief over time. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely noted, it is the power of the mind to be unconquerable, but when a silent saboteur is at work, they subtly chip away at that very power, making you feel uncertain and vulnerable. Consider a scenario at work where a colleague seemingly agrees with your ideas in a meeting, but later, in one-on-one conversations with others, they cast doubt on your suggestions or subtly undermine your authority. They might say, "I'm not sure if that's the best approach, but if you think so," planting seeds of doubt without directly opposing you. Or perhaps it's a friend who never outright criticizes your life choices, but frequently shares stories of others' failures in similar situations, indirectly suggesting that you too are likely to fail. In relationships, a silent saboteur might support your goals verbally, but their actions don't align. For example, they might forget to pass along a crucial piece of information, conveniently misremember details that are important to you, or offer faint praise that leaves you feeling uneasy. The key characteristic of a silent saboteur is their subtlety. Their actions are so understated that it's easy to overlook them, or even to blame yourself for feeling undermined. Why do they do this? Often it's because they feel threatened by your potential or achievements. Rather than openly competing or addressing their insecurities, they choose a covert route, hoping to keep you from shining too brightly. The silent saboteur fears being overshadowed, so they quietly work to keep you in check, all while maintaining the appearance of being on your side. They thrive on ambiguity, leaving you to wonder whether you're being overly sensitive or paranoid. And that's the most dangerous part of their game. They make you doubt your perceptions, leading to a slow erosion of confidence. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Yet, how can you embody this Stoic virtue when someone is subtly undermining your every effort to grow and improve? A modern example might be found in a competitive workplace environment. Suppose you have a coworker who, whenever you discuss your successes, responds with comments like, "That's great, but have you thought about how difficult it will be to maintain that pace?" Or, "Congratulations, just be careful because things can go wrong fast." On the surface, these statements might seem like friendly advice, but they carry an underlying message of doubt and discouragement. The silent saboteur rarely delivers outright negative feedback. Instead, they use implication and insinuation to achieve their ends. Their words are like water slowly dripping on stone, wearing away at your confidence bit by bit. You might find yourself beginning to hold back in meetings, questioning your ideas more or feeling generally deflated in their presence. Have you ever asked yourself, "Why do I feel less capable or less confident after interacting with this person?" If you felt this way, you might be dealing with a silent saboteur. They don't need to shout or argue. Their subtlety is their strength. Their impact is like that of a poison that takes effect slowly but surely. The damage isn't done in a single blow, but through 1,000 small cuts, each one barely noticeable until you find yourself weakened, uncertain, and doubting your path. The silent saboteur's goal is to keep you off balance, to make you feel less than what you are capable of becoming. So how do you protect yourself from such a person? The first step is awareness. Once you identify a pattern in their behavior, it becomes easier to see through their tactics. You need to trust your instincts and acknowledge your feelings. If you consistently feel undermined or doubt yourself after interactions with them, don't dismiss these feelings as mere paranoia. Remember the wisdom of Epictetus. First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Reflect on their words and actions carefully, separating their intentions from their facade of friendliness or concern. Setting boundaries is another essential strategy. You might limit the time you spend with them or keep conversations to topics that don't allow them to sow doubt or undermine you. If they continue to subtly sabotage your efforts, it might be necessary to have a candid conversation, addressing the behavior in a calm, direct manner. Say something like, "I appreciate your input, but I'd like to focus on positive and constructive discussions." This approach not only sets a clear boundary, but also signals that you are aware of their tactics without being confrontational. Moreover, surround yourself with people who genuinely support and encourage your growth. As Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." These supportive individuals can counteract the effects of the silent saboteur by reinforcing your confidence and helping you maintain a balanced perspective. When you have a strong support system, the power of the saboteur diminishes, and their attempts to undermine you become less effective. The silent saboteur may not be as overt as other toxic personalities, but their impact can be just as damaging. By recognizing their subtle tactics, trusting your own perceptions, and setting clear boundaries, you can protect yourself from their undermining influence. Remember, your path to growth and success is yours to shape, and you have the power to stay true to it. Don't let the quiet whispers of doubt from a silent saboteur derail you. Instead, stand firm, stay focused, and surround yourself with those who uplift you. As you navigate your journey, keep in mind that your worth is not defined by those who seek to bring you down, but by your resilience, your self-awareness, and your commitment to living a life of integrity and purpose. Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we move on to the next segment, I'd like to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for your presence. It's a pleasure to have you as part of our growing community. I invite you to share your story or personal impressions in the comments below. If you're unsure of what to say, simply leave a comment saying, "I am a newbie," if you've just joined us, or "I am Stoic," if you've been with us for a while. Your engagement not only marks your presence, but also serves as a powerful motivation for us to continue bringing you valuable content. All right, let's continue this journey together, shall we? Number 5. The obsessive controller who tries to control every part of your life. Let's dive into the traits of one of the most suffocating toxic personalities you might encounter, the obsessive controller. This person doesn't just want to have a say in your decisions. They want to dictate every aspect of your life. Have you ever felt like someone around you is constantly trying to steer your choices, from what you wear, eat, or whom you spend time with, to how you should think and feel? This is the hallmark of the obsessive controller. They crave power over others, often masking their controlling nature under the guise of concern or helpfulness. They might say things like, "I just want what's best for you," but if you look closer, you'll notice that what they really want is to shape your life according to their desires and expectations. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once remarked, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Yet an obsessive controller seeks to become the master of you, subtly eroding your freedom and autonomy with every directive they give. Consider a modern example of this behavior in a relationship. Maybe it's a partner who insists on knowing every detail of your day, questioning your every move, and making you feel guilty if you don't conform to their expectations. They might disguise their controlling nature as love or care, saying, "I'm only looking out for you." But their actions speak louder than words. They start by offering advice, but quickly this turns into dictating your actions. Or think about a parent who still treats you like a child, managing your finances or trying to control your career choices despite the fact that you're a grown adult. This controlling behavior can extend to friendships and the workplace as well, where a colleague or boss might attempt to micromanage every task you undertake, leaving you feeling powerless and frustrated. The obsessive controller thrives on your compliance and will often escalate their behavior if you begin to assert your independence, leading to conflicts and emotional exhaustion. Why do they behave this way? The obsessive controller often has deep-seated insecurities and a profound fear of losing control. By dictating your actions, they create an illusion of order in their own chaotic inner world. They believe that by controlling others, they can avoid the unpredictability and vulnerability that comes with life's uncertainties. But at what cost? To maintain their control, they may resort to manipulative tactics such as guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or even isolating you from others who might offer you a different perspective or support. They might say things like, "If you really loved me, you would do what I say," or "You can't trust anyone else, they don't know you like I do." Over time, these tactics can erode your self-esteem and make you doubt your own judgment and decisions. Have you ever found yourself second-guessing your choices or feeling anxious about how someone will react to your decisions? This is a sign that an obsessive controller might be influencing you more than you realize. A powerful story that illustrates this point involves a successful entrepreneur who, despite his professional achievements, found himself constantly controlled by his business partner. This partner, under the guise of protecting their shared interests, would dictate every move, from which clients to engage with to how to manage daily operations, leaving the entrepreneur feeling stifled and creatively drained. Whenever the entrepreneur suggested a new idea or approach, the partner would undermine it with phrases like, "We can't risk that," or "You don't understand the stakes here." Over time, the entrepreneur began to feel like a mere spectator in his own business, his confidence slowly eroded by the constant need to conform to his partner's vision. He realized that his partner's obsession with control was less about the business and more about maintaining power over him, a dynamic that was ultimately toxic and unsustainable. But how do you break free from such a controlling person? The first step is recognizing their behavior for what it is, an attempt to impose their will over yours, not out of love or concern, but out of a need for dominance. Remember the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The obsessive controller's power lies in your willingness to cede control to them. By reclaiming your sense of autonomy and recognizing that you have the right to make your own decisions, you begin to dismantle their influence over you. Setting clear, firm boundaries is crucial. You might say, "I appreciate your input, but I am going to make this decision on my own." Or, "I need you to respect my space and choices." Be prepared for resistance. The obsessive controller is unlikely to relinquish their grip without a fight. They may escalate their "be prepared for resistance." The obsessive controller is unlikely to relinquish their grip without a fight. They may escalate their tactics using emotional manipulation or even outright aggression to reassert their control. It is essential to remain calm and composed, standing firm in your boundaries while refusing to engage in their emotional games. This is where the Stoic practice of self-control and inner calm becomes invaluable. Remind yourself of Epictetus's teaching, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Focus on maintaining your inner peace, knowing that their attempts to control you are a reflection of their own fears and insecurities, not a measure of your worth or capabilities. Have you ever asked yourself why you allow someone to control you? It's a difficult question, but one worth considering. Sometimes it's easier to let someone else take the reins, especially if they appear more confident or assertive. However, giving up your autonomy comes at a steep price: your freedom, your self-respect, and ultimately, your happiness. The obsessive controller's influence diminishes only when you begin to trust your own judgment and make decisions based on your own values and desires, not theirs. Surround yourself with people who respect your independence and encourage you to grow in your own way. As Seneca advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. These positive influences will help you rebuild your confidence and remind you of your ability to lead your own life. Dealing with an obsessive controller is about reclaiming your power and autonomy. It requires courage to stand up to their controlling behavior and assert your right to make your own choices. Remember, no one has the right to dictate your life or make you feel less than you are. By setting boundaries, trusting your instincts, and surrounding yourself with supportive, empowering people, you can break free from the grip of an obsessive controller and live a life that is truly your own. It's your journey, your story. Don't let someone else write it for you. Take back the pen, reclaim your narrative, and move forward with confidence, knowing that you are the master of your own destiny. Number 6. The compulsive liar, spinning elaborate tales. Let's explore the dangerous web woven by the compulsive liar, an individual who cannot seem to resist the urge to fabricate stories no matter how unnecessary or trivial. Have you ever met someone who constantly exaggerates their accomplishments, changes their stories, or invents new realities? This person is a compulsive liar, someone who feels compelled to bend the truth or create false narratives, not just to manipulate others, but often out of a deep-seated need to create a more favorable image of themselves or to control the narrative. Compulsive liars are master storytellers, spinning elaborate tales that often seem convincing, at least initially. They might lie to gain sympathy, to avoid responsibility, or simply to impress those around them. But over time, their web of lies becomes increasingly tangled, and it's only a matter of time before they're caught in it themselves. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." However, the compulsive liar lives in a world where truth is fluid, bending and twisting to fit their needs at any given moment. Think about a time in your life when you've encountered such a person. Maybe it was a coworker who always seemed to embellish their past achievements, making them sound like the hero in every story, or a friend who constantly fabricated details about their personal life to seem more exciting or more troubled than they really are. The problem with compulsive liars is that their dishonesty isn't always obvious at first. They can be charming, persuasive, and often seem genuinely sincere. It might start with small, seemingly harmless lies. Maybe they claim to have read a book they haven't or seen a movie they never watched. But soon, these small lies escalate into bigger, more damaging ones, and before you know it, you're caught in a web of deceit that's hard to unravel. Why do they lie, you might ask? Often it's because they feel inadequate or insecure. They believe that the truth isn't good enough, so they embellish it, creating a more appealing, if fictional, version of reality. They seek validation and acceptance, but don't believe they can get it by being honest. Have you ever found yourself questioning your own memory or perception after a conversation with a compulsive liar, wondering if maybe you're the one who misunderstood? A modern example of this behavior can be found in many workplaces. Consider a colleague who, in meetings, always seems to take credit for ideas that weren't theirs or exaggerates their role in successful projects. They might say things like, "I was the one who came up with that strategy," or "Everyone was against me, but I pushed through, and look how well it turned out." At first you might believe them, but over time, inconsistencies start to emerge. Perhaps another colleague points out a different version of events, or you start to notice that their stories always cast them in a particularly favorable light, no matter the situation. This creates an atmosphere of mistrust and can poison team dynamics, as others begin to realize that the compulsive liar isn't just embellishing, they're fundamentally dishonest. In personal relationships, this can be even more damaging. Think of a partner who lies about where they've been or who they've been with, constantly spinning stories to cover up their actions or intentions. These lies create cracks in the foundation of trust, which, if left unaddressed, can lead to the collapse of the relationship altogether. But how do you deal with a compulsive liar in your life? The first step is to recognize their behavior for what it is, a defense mechanism rooted in fear and insecurity, rather than a direct attack on you. Understand that their lies are often more about them than about you. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand." Similarly, A lie does not harm unless it is believed and acted upon. Acknowledge the lies, but don't let them shake your sense of reality or self-worth. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, approach the situation with curiosity and calm. Ask yourself, why is this person lying? What are they trying to achieve or avoid? Understanding their motivations can help you decide how to respond, whether to confront them, distance yourself, or simply choose not to engage with their falsehoods. It's also important to set clear boundaries. Let them know that honesty is important to you and that you won't tolerate deceit. For example, you might say, I value transparency and truth in our relationship, and I feel uncomfortable when I hear things that don't add up. Can we agree to be more honest with each other? However, it's crucial to prepare for the possibility that they may deny their lies or become defensive. Compulsive liars rarely admit to their deceit, because doing so would shatter the carefully constructed image they've created. They might even accuse you of being paranoid or distrustful, turning the tables to make you feel guilty for questioning them. This is a classic manipulation tactic. Don't fall for it. Keep your cool, stick to the facts, and stand firm in your commitment to truth and integrity. Remember Epictetus's wisdom. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The compulsive liar often believes their own fabrications, making it difficult for them to see the truth even when it's right in front of them. Your job isn't to convince them. They must come to that realization on their own, but rather to protect your own mental and emotional well-being. Think about the impact of having a compulsive liar in your life. Have you noticed how it can drain your energy, erode your trust, and make you second-guess your own instincts? Over time, these effects can accumulate, leaving you feeling disoriented and even betrayed. The best way to counteract this is to surround yourself with people who value honesty and integrity, people who uplift and support you rather than drag you into their web of lies. As Marcus Aurelius taught, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. By maintaining a focus on truth, clarity, and genuine connection, you ensure that your soul remains untainted by deceit and dishonesty. Seek out those who are straightforward and honest, and foster relationships built on mutual respect and trust. This not only strengthens your personal resilience, but also diminishes the power that a compulsive liar might hold over you. Dealing with a compulsive liar is about maintaining your own integrity and perspective in the face of dishonesty. Recognize the signs, understand their motivations, and don't allow their behavior to undermine your sense of reality. Set clear boundaries, communicate your expectations, and choose to engage with those who share your values of honesty and truthfulness. Remember, the truth has a power of its own, one that lies can never match. By staying grounded in your commitment to authenticity and integrity, you protect yourself from the damaging effects of a compulsive liar and create a space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in your life. So, the next time you find yourself faced with a tale that seems too good to be true, take a step back, assess the situation with a clear mind, and remember that your truth is your greatest defense against deception. Number 7. The emotional chameleon, turning life into a roller coaster. He who is in harmony with himself is in harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius. Now we delve into the bewildering behavior of the emotional chameleon, those individuals who can turn your life into a constant emotional roller coaster. We'll explore how these people shift their moods and behaviors in a heartbeat, leaving you perpetually on edge and questioning your reality. If you've ever felt exhausted trying to keep up with someone's unpredictable emotions or walking on eggshells around them, stay tuned, because today we're going to uncover the truth behind the emotional chameleon and how you can protect your peace of mind. Let's take a closer look at the emotional chameleon, a type of person who can leave you feeling disoriented, exhausted, and always on edge. Have you ever had someone in your life who seemed to change their mood as quickly as the wind changes direction? One moment they're warm, affectionate, and full of praise, and the next, they're cold, distant, or even hostile. This person is an emotional chameleon, someone who shifts their emotional state rapidly and often unpredictably, making it incredibly difficult for those around them to feel any sense of stability or peace. Their behavior can be baffling and disconcerting, as you never quite know which version of them you'll get on any given day. It's like being on a roller coaster, where the highs are thrilling but the lows are terrifying and you never quite know when the next drop is coming. This type of unpredictability can be emotionally draining, leading to a constant state of anxiety or hypervigilance as you try to anticipate their next move. An emotional chameleon is often driven by a deep need for control and attention. They thrive on the emotional reactions they elicit from others, whether it's making someone feel elated one minute or anxious the next. You might find yourself constantly trying to appease them, adjusting your behavior to keep them happy or avoid triggering their anger. But as Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The emotional chameleon is not a master of their emotions. Instead, they are often slaves to their shifting moods and whims. And if you're not careful, you can find yourself getting caught up in their emotional chaos, losing your own sense of balance and tranquility in the process. Consider a modern example: a friend who one day showers you with compliments and insists you're their closest confidant, only to ignore your calls or messages the next, leaving you confused and hurt. Or a colleague who is all smiles and praise in a meeting, but the next day, they act as if you've done something wrong without ever explaining what changed. This behavior can also be seen in romantic relationships, where a partner might be loving and attentive one moment, but dismissive or angry the next, making you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. It's important to recognize that this type of person often uses their unpredictable behavior to keep you off balance, maintaining control over the dynamic and ensuring that you remain focused on them and their needs. Why do they act this way? Often the emotional chameleon has deep-rooted insecurities and fears of abandonment or rejection. By constantly shifting their emotional state, they keep others guessing and ensure that they remain the center of attention. This unpredictability can create a kind of emotional dependency, where you become so focused on trying to manage their moods that you lose sight of your own needs and feelings. Have you ever noticed how, after spending time with an emotional chameleon, you feel drained, anxious, or even question your own perceptions? This is because they create an environment of emotional turbulence, where it becomes difficult to trust your own feelings and instincts. Their mood swings are not just random. They are often a deliberate tactic to keep you emotionally invested and to ensure that your energy is focused on them. How can you deal with an emotional chameleon? The first step is to recognize their behavior for what it is: a form of emotional manipulation. Understand that their shifting moods and erratic behavior are often not about you, but about their own internal struggles and need for control. As Marcus Aurelius advises, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. This means maintaining your own emotional equilibrium, no matter how unpredictable they may be. It's important to establish clear boundaries with an emotional chameleon, letting them know that while you care about them, you will not allow their behavior to dictate your own emotional state. For example, you might say, "I value our relationship, but I need consistency and honesty in our interactions. If something is bothering you, let's talk about it directly instead of playing emotional games." Additionally, practice self-awareness and emotional resilience. Keep a journal or take time to reflect on your feelings after interacting with them. Are you constantly feeling anxious or on edge? Are you changing your behavior to accommodate their moods? This self-reflection can help you recognize patterns and make more conscious choices about how you engage with them. Remember the words of Seneca: "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Don't let the emotional chameleon's behavior become a source of unnecessary suffering in your life. By staying grounded and aware of your own feelings, you can protect yourself from their emotional turbulence. It can also be helpful to seek support from others who understand your situation. Talk to true. But over time, their web of lies becomes increasingly tangled, and it's only a matter of time before they're caught in it themselves. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." However, The compulsive liar lives in a world where truth is fluid, bending and twisting to fit their needs at any given moment. Think about a time in your life when you've encountered such a person. Maybe it was a coworker who always seemed to embellish their past achievements, making them sound like the hero in every story, or a friend who constantly fabricated details about their personal life to seem more exciting or more troubled than they really are. The problem with compulsive liars is that their dishonesty isn't always obvious at first. They can be charming, persuasive, and often seem genuinely sincere. It might start with small, seemingly harmless lies. Maybe they claim to have read a book they haven't or seen a movie they never watched. But soon, these small lies escalate into bigger, more damaging ones, and before you know it, you're caught in a web of deceit that's hard to unravel. Why do they lie, you might ask? Often it's because they feel inadequate or insecure. They believe that the truth isn't good enough, so they embellish it, creating a more appealing, if fictional, version of reality. They seek validation and acceptance, but don't believe they can get it by being honest. Have you ever found yourself questioning your own memory or perception after a conversation with a compulsive liar, wondering if maybe you're the one who misunderstood? A modern example of this behavior can be found in many workplaces. Consider a colleague who, in meetings, always seems to take credit for ideas that weren't theirs or exaggerates their role in successful projects. They might say things like, "I was the one who came up with that strategy," or, "Everyone was against me, but I pushed through, and look how well it turned out." At first you might believe them, but over time inconsistencies start to emerge. Perhaps another colleague points out a different version of events, or you start to notice that their stories always cast them in a particularly favorable light no matter the situation. This creates an atmosphere of mistrust and can poison team dynamics, as others begin to realize that the compulsive liar isn't just embellishing, they're fundamentally dishonest. In personal relationships, this can be even more damaging. Think of a partner who lies about where they've been or who they've been with, constantly spinning stories to cover up their actions or intentions. These lies create cracks in the foundation of trust, which, if left unaddressed, can lead to the collapse of the relationship altogether. But how do you deal with a compulsive liar in your life? The first step is to recognize their behavior for what it is, a defense mechanism rooted in fear and insecurity, rather than a direct attack on you. Understand that their lies are often more about them than about you. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand." Similarly, a lie does not harm unless it is believed and acted upon. Acknowledge the lies, but don't let them shake your sense of reality or self-worth. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, approach the situation with curiosity and calm. Ask yourself, why is this person lying? What are they trying to achieve or avoid? Understanding their motivations can help you decide how to respond, whether to confront them, distance yourself, or simply choose not to engage with their falsehoods. It's also important to set clear boundaries. Let them know that honesty is important to you and that you won't tolerate deceit. For example, you might say, "I value transparency and truth in our relationship, and I feel uncomfortable when I hear things that don't add up. Can we agree to be more honest with each other?" Number 8. The professional victim always blaming others. Let's focus on one of the most draining, toxic personalities you might encounter, the professional victim. This type of person is someone who perpetually sees themselves as the sufferer in every situation, always blaming others for their misfortunes, never taking responsibility for their own actions or choices. Have you ever had someone in your life who seems to always be in a state of crisis, always complaining about how unfairly life treats them? This is the professional victim. They have mastered the art of playing the victim card, twisting every scenario to make themselves seem wronged, oppressed, or misunderstood. They are quick to point fingers, often painting themselves as the innocent party in every conflict, while conveniently overlooking their role in the unfolding drama. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more." That is poor. The professional victim craves attention, sympathy, and validation, but does not recognize that these cravings keep them trapped in a cycle of blame and self-pity. Think about a situation where you have encountered a professional victim. Perhaps it was a friend who always seems to have a new story of how someone did them wrong, whether it's a boss who doesn't appreciate them, a partner who doesn't understand them, or a family member who mistreats them. These individuals have a way of turning every discussion into a recount of their latest hardship. At first, you might feel sympathy, wanting to offer support and understanding. But over time, you begin to notice a pattern. No matter what happens, they are never at fault. They never consider how their own actions or decisions might have contributed to their circumstances. Instead, they perpetuate a narrative where they are the perpetual victim, always at the mercy of others' wrongdoing. This behavior is not only frustrating, but can also become emotionally exhausting, as you find yourself constantly trying to comfort or console them, only to realize that nothing ever changes. Why is that, you might ask? Because a professional victim doesn't actually want solutions. They thrive on the attention and sympathy that comes from being perceived as a victim. In a modern work environment, this might look like a colleague who never seems to get along with anyone and always blames their lack of progress on being mistreated or overlooked. They might say things like, "No one ever gives me a chance," or "I'm always stuck with the worst projects." You might initially think they're just having a tough time, but then you realize that they have the same complaint about every job they've ever had. Or consider a personal relationship, where a partner constantly talks about how all their exes were terrible, how friends always abandon them, or how their family never supports them. At first, you might believe their stories, but after a while, you start to see a pattern. Every story, every complaint has the same common denominator. They are always the victim, and someone else is always to blame. This constant blame game creates a toxic dynamic where you feel drained, frustrated, and maybe even guilty for not being able to fix their problems. Why do they adopt this mindset? Often the professional victim has learned, consciously or unconsciously, that playing the victim role is a way to gain attention and avoid responsibility. It allows them to deflect criticism and sidestep accountability for their own actions. By blaming others for their problems, they avoid facing uncomfortable truths about themselves and their own behavior. Have you ever found yourself feeling sorry for someone, even when you know their problems are largely self-inflicted? This is the effect of the professional victim's narrative. They pull you into their world of blame and self-pity, making you a participant in their endless drama. They are so focused on what's wrong with everyone else that they never take the time to look in the mirror and ask, "What role am I playing in this situation?" How do you deal with a professional victim in your life? The first step is to recognize their behavior for what it is, a deflection and a refusal to take personal responsibility. Understand that while it's natural to want to help those who seem to be struggling, you cannot solve their problems for them, especially if they are not willing to take any steps to solve them themselves. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means recognizing that while you can offer support and empathy, you are not responsible for fixing their problems. Nor should you allow their constant negativity to drag you down. Set clear boundaries with the professional victim. Let them know that while you are there to support them, you also believe in taking proactive steps to improve one's situation. Encourage them to look at their challenges from a different perspective and to consider what actions they can take to change their circumstances. For example, you might say, "I understand you're going through a tough time, but what do you think you can do to change the situation?" This shifts the focus from blaming others to taking personal responsibility, and while they may resist at first, it's an important step in breaking the cycle of blame. Be prepared for resistance or even pushback. The professional victim may react defensively or accuse you of not understanding their situation or of being unsupportive. They may double down on their victim narrative, insisting that they are powerless to change their situation and that you are being unfair for suggesting otherwise. It is essential to remain calm and assertive, reinforcing the message that while you care about them, true support involves encouraging self-reflection and growth, not simply validating their complaints. Remember the wisdom of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Stay grounded in your own truth and refuse to be drawn into their endless cycle of negativity and blame. Have you ever wondered why some people never seem to break free from their self-imposed victimhood? It's because they are caught in a comfort zone of blame, where it feels safer to point fingers than to look inward. However, true growth and freedom come from facing one's own flaws and taking ownership of one's actions. By refusing to engage in their blame games, you help the professional victim see that there is another way, a path of personal responsibility and empowerment. Encourage them to focus on what they can control and to let go of what they cannot. This shift in mindset is not only freeing, but also empowering, allowing them to take charge of their own lives rather than being at the mercy of others. Dealing with a professional victim requires a balance of empathy and firmness. You must recognize their behavior as a coping mechanism and not allow yourself to be drawn into their web of blame and self-pity. Set boundaries, encourage self-reflection, and offer support in ways that promote growth and responsibility rather than enabling their victim mindset. Remember, as Seneca wisely noted, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Surround yourself with individuals who inspire you to grow and take responsibility for your own life. And be wary of those who seek to pull you into their endless cycle of victimhood and blame. By doing so, you protect your own peace of mind and foster healthier, more balanced relationships built on mutual respect and accountability. So, the next time you encounter a professional victim, take a step back, set your boundaries, and remember that your own journey towards wisdom and peace is not theirs to disrupt. Instead, focus on your path, your growth, and your own responsibility for your happiness and success. Number 9. The reality denier, living in their own movie. Let's delve into the perplexing behavior of the reality denier, a person who seems to exist in a world entirely of their own making, constantly rewriting reality to fit their narrative. Have you ever met someone who, no matter what evidence or facts are presented, simply refuses to acknowledge the truth? This person lives in their own movie, where they are both the director and the star, shaping every event and interaction to suit their storyline. The reality denier is an expert at bending the facts, denying what is plainly in front of them, and creating an alternate version of events that places them at the center of their own imagined universe. They might dismiss clear evidence, insist that everyone else is wrong, or accuse others of misunderstanding or misinterpreting situations. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." However, the reality denier takes this to an extreme, turning their perspective into an unyielding alternative truth that often defies logic and reason. Think about a time when you've encountered a reality denier. Perhaps it was a colleague who, despite repeated feedback and clear data showing a project's failure, continued to insist that everything was on track and going perfectly well. Or maybe it was a friend or family member who, when confronted with their hurtful behavior, would immediately dismiss your feelings and deny any wrongdoing, instead choosing to rewrite history to make themselves appear blameless or even victimized. This person might say things like, "That never happened," or "You're just remembering it wrong," leaving you confused, frustrated, and doubting your own memory or perception. The reality denier's behavior can be incredibly frustrating because it feels like you are speaking two different languages or living in two different realities. You are grounded in facts and experiences, while they float above in a cloud of denial and delusion. Have you ever found yourself questioning your own reality after a conversation with such a person, wondering if maybe you are the one who misunderstood? This is the impact of a reality denier. They create a space where doubt and confusion thrive, eroding trust and clarity in any relationship they are a part of. Why do they do this? Often, reality deniers are deeply uncomfortable with vulnerability, criticism, or accountability. They cannot bear the thought of being wrong, so they construct elaborate mental defenses to protect themselves from facing uncomfortable truths. To them, acknowledging a mistake or admitting fault feels like an attack on their very identity. By rewriting reality, they can maintain a sense of control and avoid dealing with any painful emotions or consequences. It's a defense mechanism, a way of shielding themselves from what they perceive as threats to their ego or self-esteem. Have you noticed how a reality denier often becomes defensive or even aggressive when challenged? This is because, in their mind, admitting to reality feels like a loss of control or an admission of weakness. They would rather hold on to their version of events, no matter how implausible, than confront a truth that makes them feel vulnerable. Consider a modern example: a business leader who, despite declining sales and clear signs of trouble, insists that their strategy is flawless and that any problems are due to market conditions, competitors, or even disloyal employees. They might ignore the advice of experts, dismiss critical feedback, and surround themselves with people who only reinforce their views, creating an echo chamber where their version of reality goes unchallenged. Or think of a friend who, despite clear evidence that a relationship is toxic or failing, continues to paint a rosy picture, insisting that everything is fine and that any concerns are overblown or unfounded. This refusal to see reality for what it is can prevent growth, stall progress, and create a toxic environment where truth and honesty are sacrificed at the altar of ego preservation. How do you deal with a reality denier? The first step is to understand that their behavior is often more about protecting themselves than about attacking you. Recognize that their refusal to accept reality is a reflection of their inner turmoil and fear of facing uncomfortable truths, not a reflection of your worth or judgment. As Epictetus taught, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The reality denier is trapped in a state of ignorance, convinced of their own infallibility, which makes genuine learning or growth almost impossible. Accept that you cannot force someone to see what they are unwilling or unable to acknowledge. Instead, focus on maintaining your own clarity and perspective, staying grounded in your understanding of the truth. Set boundaries with the reality denier. Let them know that while you respect their right to their perspective, you also have the right to yours. You might say, "I understand that you see things differently, but this is my experience and my truth." It's crucial to avoid getting drawn into endless debates or arguments, as these often only serve to reinforce their denial. Instead, state your perspective calmly and clearly, and then move on. Be prepared for them to continue denying or dismissing your views. This is their defense mechanism in action. Remember the wisdom of Seneca. A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is. The reality denier has convinced themselves of a version of reality that serves their needs, and they will hold on to it tightly. It is not your job to convince them otherwise. Another strategy is to limit your exposure to their distorted reality. If you find that their denial is causing you stress or making you doubt yourself, consider distancing yourself from them or limiting your interactions. Surround yourself with people who value truth, honesty, and growth, those who challenge you in positive ways and support you in your journey of self-improvement. Have you ever felt more grounded and clear-headed after spending time with people who are honest and straightforward? This is because truth has a stabilizing effect. It helps you stay rooted in reality and fosters an environment of trust and authenticity. By choosing to spend more time with those who respect reality, you protect your peace of mind and build healthier relationships. Dealing with a reality denier requires a balance of empathy, firmness, and self-protection. Recognize their behavior as a defense mechanism and not a reflection of your reality. Set clear boundaries, refuse to be drawn into their denial, and focus on maintaining your own clarity and truth. Remember the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Choose to build your life on a foundation of truth, clarity, and honesty, and avoid those who seek to pull you into their distorted version of reality. By doing so, you safeguard your mental and emotional well-being and you remain true to your own path of growth and wisdom. The next time you encounter a reality denier, take a step back, maintain your calm, and remember that their refusal to face reality is not yours to fix. Instead, stay focused on your journey, your truth, and your own inner peace. Number 10. Diving deep into envy. Envy is the ulcer of the soul. Socrates. We're diving deep into one of the most destructive emotions known to mankind, envy. We will uncover how envy can quietly corrode relationships, poison our minds, and lead us down a path of dissatisfaction and resentment. If you've ever felt the sting of envy or sensed it simmering beneath the surface of your interactions with others, stay tuned. Because today, we're not just learning how to recognize envy in others, but also how to address it within ourselves. Let's take a closer look at the insidious nature of envy, a feeling that can quietly eat away at one's happiness and contentment like a hidden toxin. Envy is more than just a fleeting feeling of wanting what someone else has. It is a deep-seated sense of resentment that arises when someone feels overshadowed by another's success, possessions, or qualities. Envy doesn't just desire what others have. It begrudges them for having it, leading to bitterness and a sense of injustice. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to get particularly quiet or dismissive when you share good news or talk about your successes? Or perhaps you've had a friend who never seems happy for you when things are going well, always finding a way to downplay your achievements or subtly suggest that you don't quite deserve them. This is envy at work, and it can be incredibly toxic, not just to relationships but to the envious person's own sense of self. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." To live well, one must learn to recognize and deal with envy, both in others and within oneself. Envy often manifests in subtle ways, making it harder to detect. It might come out in a backhanded compliment such as, "It's great you got that promotion," though it's probably because they needed to fill a quota. Or in a seemingly innocent question like, "How did you manage to get that job? Did you know someone on the inside?" These comments are designed to undermine your accomplishments, suggesting they're not entirely deserved or earned. Envious people may also engage in gossip or spread rumors to tarnish someone's reputation, driven by the desire to bring others down to their perceived level. They might avoid celebrating your successes or respond with a lackluster, "Oh, that's nice," when you share your good news. Over time, these small, seemingly insignificant behaviors can add up, creating a toxic environment where you feel unsupported and undervalued. Have you ever felt the sting of a friend's envy? That moment when their congratulatory words don't quite match the look in their eyes. Why do people become envious? Often, envy stems from feelings of inadequacy or a sense of lack. When someone feels that they are not enough, whether in terms of achievements, appearance, or social standing, they may look at others' successes as a mirror reflecting their perceived shortcomings. Instead of finding inspiration in others' achievements, the envious person feels diminished by them. This is why envy is so destructive. It not only creates a divide between people, but also eats away at the person who harbors it, leading to a cycle of negativity and resentment. As Epictetus observed, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Envious individuals react to others' success not with joy or admiration, but with bitterness, which ultimately causes more harm to them than to anyone else. Their focus on what they lack blinds them to their own potential and the positive aspects of their lives. Consider a modern example. A coworker who, instead of celebrating a team member's success, starts spreading rumors that they only got promoted because they're friends with the boss, or a neighbor who seems overly interested in finding out how much you paid for your new car or home, not out of genuine curiosity but to compare and judge. These behaviors might seem petty or trivial, but they are clear indicators of underlying envy. It's important to recognize that envy is not just an emotion, but a destructive force that can ruin relationships, disrupt workplaces, and create a toxic social environment. It's like a slow poison that seeps into every interaction, subtly influencing thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in ways that are harmful to everyone involved. Have you ever felt uncomfortable sharing good news with someone because you knew it would make them feel bad or react negatively? This hesitation is a clear sign that envy is present, creating a barrier to open, honest communication and genuine connection. So how do you deal with an envious person in your life? The first step is to recognize their behavior for what it is, a reflection of their own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. Note a measure of your worth or accomplishments. Understand that their envy is not about you, but about their own internal struggles. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If someone is envious of you, it is because their thoughts are clouded by their own dissatisfaction. It's important to maintain your composure and not let their envy affect your sense of self or dampen your achievements. Respond to their behavior with empathy, but also with firmness. Acknowledge their feelings without feeding into them. For example, if someone makes a dismissive comment about your success, you might say, "I'm proud of what I've achieved, and I believe everyone has the potential to succeed in their own way." Additionally, it's essential to set boundaries. If you notice that someone's envy is starting to affect your mental or emotional well-being, don't hesitate to create some distance. You are not obligated to share every detail of your life with someone who cannot celebrate your happiness. Protect your space and your peace. Engage with those who uplift you, who are genuinely happy for your successes, and who inspire you to grow. Remember the wisdom of Seneca. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive individuals can counteract the negativity of envy and help you stay focused on your own growth and happiness. Finally, reflect on your own feelings and behavior. Envy is a human emotion, and it's natural to feel it from time to time. However, how you choose to handle that emotion makes all the difference. Instead of letting envy fester, turn it into motivation. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person's success? How can I use this feeling to inspire my own growth? Transform envy into admiration, a fuel to propel you forward rather than a weight that holds you back. By shifting your mindset from one of lack to one of abundance, you open yourself up to greater possibilities and a more fulfilling life. Diving deep into envy reveals it as a destructive force that, if left unchecked, can harm both the person who feels it and those around them. Recognize envy when you see it, whether in others or in yourself, and choose to address it with wisdom and grace. Remember the Stoic teachings that guide us toward self-awareness, self-control, and a focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions. By staying grounded in these principles, you can navigate envy's challenges and maintain your path toward a more peaceful and fulfilling life. The next time you encounter envy, either from others or within yourself, pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with your highest values and aspirations. Stay true to your own journey and let your light shine undimmed by the shadows of envy. As we come to the end of this video on 10 signs to identify a toxic person in your life, wisdom for living, Stoicism, let's take a moment to reflect on the insights we've uncovered. We've explored how to recognize the subtle yet damaging behaviors of manipulators, critics, narcissists, and more, each playing their part in disrupting our peace and hindering our growth. Remember, these toxic individuals often reflect their own struggles and insecurities, not your worth. By applying the Stoic principles we've discussed, such as setting boundaries, practicing self-awareness, and focusing on what is within our control, you can protect your peace of mind and cultivate a more balanced and fulfilling life. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So, how will you use these insights to transform your interactions and relationships? I encourage you to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation, learn from each other, and support one another on this journey to living a more stoic and purposeful life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life for more wisdom on navigating the challenges of modern living with the timeless guidance of Stoicism. Stay strong, stay wise, and see you in the next video.